can be very subtle, especially where the social bullying is concerned. So that is, hey, if you want to be friends with me, you can't be friends with that person. And so in order to fit into this group, you start to doing whatever they want you to do. Even though your heart is connected to that other student and you want to be there, you realize if I am with that student, then I'll be excluded from things over here. Yeah. But I want to be in this too. I want to be seen as the popular.
That and more coming up in today's program. Hi there, everyone. I'm Adrian Atkinson, and you're tuned in to Jamaica Magazine. More after the break.
BGLC, the regulatory body. We regulate, you play without worry. We regulate, you play. BGLC, fair play when you play. For the fun of the game, you know where they are. BGLC, keep it fair for the player. You play the game and we are the rules that keep everything fair so the game play better. The Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission. We ensure fairness, integrity and responsible gaming practices. Keep the game fair and fun for everyone. We regulate, you play.
It is a most serious and complex issue that many are faced with daily. It can have long-lasting psychological, emotional, and even physical effects. It is a problem that we are trying to understand so that it can be addressed. In this week's episode of Get the Facts, we discuss this issue of bullying and what can be done.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the show that gives you information on what you need to know. Today we shine the spotlight on a growing issue, bullying. Bullying is an intentional act of repeated aggression towards someone to enact a real or perceived power imbalance. Bullying can either be physical, verbal, social, and these days it does take place in cyberspace. It's an unfortunate occurrence in our schools, but there's also a concerted effort to mitigate the challenge. One such institution is St. Catherine-based Crystal House, Jamaica, which has launched an anti-bullying program. Here to tell us more about that is social worker Sandra Watkis-Madden. Mrs. Watkis-Madden, how are you doing?
I am doing great. You?
All right, I'm good as well.
Awesome.
You're at Crystal House, but let's jump into the issue of bullying. Now, there's something that came out in our preparation for this interview. You understand bullying from both sides of the equation.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that and why is bullying so unacceptable? Why isn't it just youthful exuberance?
All right. So for me, initially, I thought, as you said, youthful exuberance. My target was mainly short people.
Oh.
Yes, I used to pick on them. I would take their things and put it at places where they can't catch it and just watch the frustration and all of that. And for me, it was fun. And then I would love to call people names. So as soon as I hear their name, I would find something else to match it and call them name, and persons would like it. And that went on for years until I was exposed to bullying, in fact, what it was and what it can do. And I was like, oh my God.
That's what I was doing.
That's what I was doing. So when I start working at Crystal House and I observe the behaviors of the kids, I was saying to myself, is it possible that they don't know that they're actually hurting people, that they don't know that they're actually bullies? And so asking questions and doing little activities, I realized some of them don't know. And then so we launched the program.
So bullying is, based on what you're saying here, bullying isn't okay, it happened today at school and that's where it stops. It has long-term impact?
Yes, it does have long-term impact. In fact, the furthest it can go is for somebody to take their life. And we would have a situation where one of our bullying prevention officers, and bullying prevention officers at Crystal House, we have both students and staff, student staff and parents who are bullying prevention officers. They are trained to recognize and intervene when it's safe to do so. So one of the officers came to me and he informed me that, hey, one of our students tried to kill herself last night.
Because of this?
Because of another student who keep bullying her. So that's the furthest it can go, somebody take their life. It is really serious. Other effects are persons not being able to function at school, people not eating well, not sleeping well, people not understanding their emotion or can't process their emotion well because the only thing that is present is fear.
Academic
fear,
impacts
yes.
as well?
Of course, academic impacts, because if I'm in the class, the teacher is saying ABC 1, 2, 3, but all I'm thinking, how am I going to pass that guy? How am I going to pass that girl? How am I going to use the bathroom? then I won't be learning. Yes, so yes, academic impact, and by that, then you know it affects you in the long term. Because if you don't learn at school, then you can't get the education.
Right.
You don't get the education, you can't get the job. You don't have the job, you might not have a good family.
True.
Yes, so it really needs to stop. It has great impact on people.
It's interesting, a while ago, you gave me a bit of data. You said that guy or that girl, so bullying isn't limited to boys or...
No, the truth is no. Bullying doesn't have a face. So persons sometimes think it's the big tough guys that are the bullies. But we would see some small little kids bullying the big ones. Yes, and they call them fat, they call them Hulk, they call them all kind of names, they hit them and run because in their mind they can't run me down, they're too fat to run me down and stuff like that. So we have the pretty ones, the ugly ones, not ugly as in quote unquote, or they are categorized. We have all type.
Right.
Those who you deem very intelligent, those who you deem not so intelligent. Bullying doesn't have a face.
So how, in your experience as a social worker, how does an instance of bullying usually start?
That's a tricky question because most time we get it when it is out there. It's advanced, but it can be very subtle, especially where the social bullying is concerned. So that is, hey, if you want to be friends with me, you can't be friends with that person. And so in order to fit into this group, you start to doing whatever they want you to do. Even though your heart is connected to that other student and you want to be there, you realize if I am with that student, then I'll be excluded from things over here. But I want to be in this too. I want to be seen as the popular. Yes? And one instance in recent days since we've launched the program, and that's the beauty of the program, it has created a safe space for people to speak out, to say this is what is happening. We were called to a group of students, and you want to guess what grades they were in?
4.
Grade 1.
1, oh wow.
Yes, grade 1. Babies. And they were very vocal and assertive and telling us the things that are happening. You have one student who has to carry Sweetie every single day for the leader, or else she will be excluded from activities. So we see the social bullying right there at grade 1. And then we have those who call names, and those we don't talk to because they lose their teeth or they can't speak properly, or those who are too short or too this or too that. And that's grade 1. When we ask, and that's the good thing, they are very vocal. When was this started? Oh, it started last year, January.
Long time it around.
So if it started last year, January, then they would be in kindergarten. I was like, are you sure? And then one of them, yes, miss, it started 2 weeks after X, Y, and Z came to this school.
Yeah. But I have to ask here. So, okay, you're talking about the program at school, the interventions with the children. What role do parents working with the educators have here? And I'm asking against the backdrop of parents ensuring that they can work with the educators. And sorry if I can just go a little longer. We're talking about Sweetie and who can be friend with who. And I can imagine a parent might say, how that you going so far? What role do the parents have here? All
right, so the first thing is to get yourself informed, you know. What is bullying and the effect that it can have? The long term, the short term, how will this impact my child, or how is it impacting another child?
Right.
And when you harm yourself with that information, then you're able to take a stand. The school is supposed to create the environment where the parents can question, hey, I noticed that my daughter no longer want to go to school, or my daughter, things are being destroyed, and what is happening? What is happening? The home should also create that environment where a teacher can call and say, hey, guess what? This is what is happening at school. We need you to come in. So once there's that symbiotic relationship, we realize that the goal of this thing is to help your child become the best person he or she can become. And we are working together. We are not picking on your child. We are not belittling you. We are just working together to ensure that this child is successful. Then each of us will play our part. So the parents will model the behavior that they want their children. They'll also create the environment where that child can be safe, knowing that when I come and say, Mommy, this happened at school, you're not going to put on your mad hat, quote unquote, and go down to school, but you're going to deal with it in a way that I will feel proud knowing that this is my mother. Because we'd have cases like that where I can't tell Mommy. I said, did you say that to mommy? No, if me tell mommy, she'll come down here and mommy is a bully too.
Aye.
So you model the behavior, the positive behavior that is, that you would want your children to display. And when you do that, then they will come to school and try that with the support of the school-based professional. We encourage that all school-based professionals should be trained in trauma-informed and social and emotional learning. So the school-based professional would also be modeling that behavior. So they would see every moment as a learning opportunity. So let's say we see bullying. We don't attack it, because then that's what the child is used to being attacked. You try to solve it, and you allow the child to make the decision. So you would say, hey, how did you feel about doing this?
I'm going to put a pin right here because I'm very interested in hearing how this is going to go. But we've been discussing bullying in schools, and we're going to go for a quick break right now. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Keep that smile on their faces and preserve their innocence. Cherish the moments you have with them and create the best memories. Let's inspire our children to dream big and work hard to achieve all they aspire to be. Take the time to listen to our children and really hear their side of the story. Our children deserve love and the right to access their basic needs. Do your part and protect our children.
We're speaking with Mrs. Sandria Watkis-Madden, a social worker at Crystal House, Jamaica, on the matter of bullying. Lady Watkis-Madden, so I don't know that bullying is a new invention. It's been a thing.
It has been.
How has social media, though, changed how bullying works? What have you seen?
You know, to be honest, it's a scary era we're in. Because now, to humiliate somebody is where you get your likes.
Okay.
So normally, it's supposed to be, you did this and it is wrong, and we're supposed to say, this is wrong, stop it. But this is where now persons are liking your video, sharing your videos, and then you're feeling more and more popular, and that what I'm doing, it's the in thing. It also create a numbness to it. So everybody wants to capture the moment when somebody fall or did something stupid to post it so that everybody... Yes. So it creates a numbness. So it means that we have a lot of work to do to ensure that person understand the psychological effect that these things can do. And since everyone have access to smartphone, and these kids learn how to use the phone before they even learn how to walk properly, then before you know it, something is out there and it's in cyberspace and it's there forever.
Right.
So persons are forever contending with it. So it means that parents have to be on the lookout. They have to take the necessary precaution to ensure that their children are using the internet safely, and school has the responsibility to inform and guide persons as to how they use social media.
You know, that's interesting because also it occurs to me that with the advent of social media, bullying can follow you away from school.
Oh, yes.
One time you'd go home and you'd have a little freedom from the bully. But as we come to our close, what should parents look out for? Signs. My child is either a bully or bullying. Okay.
So one thing that I want parents to know is this. You have a great role to play in preventing bullying. And the first thing you have to do is to listen. Not just hear what your child is saying, but listen to what your child is saying. Listen to his or her body language, listen to the tone. So the child is used to excited about going to school. No, he's just dragging himself. What is happening? What is happening? Something is happening. And if the child is saying, I don't want to go to school because I'm afraid of Mark, it shouldn't be that you curse him as weak. Or her as weak, but validate that feeling. It's okay. Why are you afraid of Mark? Why is it that Marks want to
this or that,
yes,
through the fear.
Yes, and then when you get to understand, then you will know what to do. But we can't just sit back because, as I mentioned earlier, one of our students wanted to kill herself, and it's because of bullying. So we need to allow persons to know that we have a role to play. And bear in mind, not because someone is a victim, it doesn't mean that that person is not a bully.
Got it.
And not because someone is a bully doesn't mean that that person is a victim.
Got
So
it.
we all have a role to play. The victim, the bullies, the bystanders.
Right.
We have a role to play.
Final few seconds, the toenail of the interview. What's on the horizon for the anti-bullying program?
Well, we're hoping to take it to all the schools.
Cool.
So currently we are at Crystal House. Would have gotten 2 requests from 2 schools saying, hey, can you come in? We have our songs, we have some of our books, we have a whole lot of things, and we want to take it across the country.
You showed the books so quickly.
Oh, there they are. So this is only the manual that we created, and these are stories. We ask the students to write their stories, how has bullying affected you, and then we put life to it. They're not yet published. They are just available to students and parents, but hopefully someone will come on board and help us to publish all of these so that the whole country will have it.
Got it. Any final word, very, very briefly? Any last thing you'd like to say?
I just want to say bullying is real and it's not cool.
Okay.
And we should do everything in our power to ensure that our children are protected. They are the future. And bullying can follow you all the way until you die. So if we don't do something now, we might lose them.
Yeah, the scars on hearts
Yes.
and minds. We have come to the end of the program. I do hope that you have learned something, that your eyes have opened a little wider, and that you'll be on the guard against bullying and the perpetrating of bullying. So until next time, do take care.
Healing begins within. Take a moment for yourself. Healing is a journey. Start yours today.
All month, each Sunday, we have been looking at the issue of mental health, and we hope that you have gained some insight and that each one of you are working to safeguard your mental well-being, just as you would the physical. Today, we culminate this 4-part series, My Mind and Me, with a look at our role in the matter. Watch to learn more.
Previously on My Mind and Me.
If we're looking for some signs, I would say if you're mentally unhealthy and you've tried relaxation techniques, you've tried the self-care, you've tried stress management and it's not working, that would be a great time to get some professional help to help you get your mental health back. Mental health is a different concept from mental illness, although we use them as an umbrella term. Being mentally healthy means that you are able to be flexible, to adjust to the challenges of life.
And it is important to do what we can to ensure our own mental health.
Small daily habits that can help to maintain or attain good mental health include being able to pause when you need to. We find ourselves going consistently throughout the day, and if we don't pause, that's a challenge. So it's important to know when to pause.
Pause right there. Find ways to help you figure out the challenge you're having. You can
use STOP as an acronym. STOP, it means stop whatever you're doing. Take stock of what's happening to you. Take deep breaths. When you observe what's happening to you at O, then you proceed, but you address what you found at O. So if when you stopped, took the breaths, you observe that you're hungry, then we would say proceed and go and get something to eat. And deep breaths, for instance, help you in the pause. Not the ones where your chest goes up and you actually didn't take a breath.
And something else we can do.
I like to call it the 3-3-5. So you inhale through your nose and count to 3, hold it and count to 3, and then you exhale through your mouth and you count to 5. 3 sets of that, and usually it gives you a moment to just decompress and to think about the what next. Other small things could be those things that relax you. Is it having a devotion? Is it being able to have sometimes your one little favorite meal for lunch today? Is it being able to check on somebody? Is it, for instance, going home early today? Is it about watching your show? Is it having an hour of me time and doing absolutely nothing? Those are some things that could help every day.
Take little breaks.
If you feel stressed, what you need to do is turn your phone off. Get away from social media. Things like that help you to manage your stress. Do you find yourself having, let's say, your heart racing? Then it means you probably need to do some deep breathing. Do you find yourself feeling very anxious? Sometimes, especially our students, when you have to go out for school. What are the things you can do in the moment that settles you and helps you to respond better? Because we can't get rid of the stress. So it's going to be about the management. So figure out how you respond and figure out a better way to respond until you are able to resolve the stress or the anxiety.
And try self-care.
Mentally, there's absolutely no way to overemphasize that. Self-care, self-care, self-care. And don't let anybody fool you, it's not selfish. Do small things for yourself every day. Katie Reed says self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. So look at it from that perspective. You want to fill yourself up so that you're able to put back into what you need to put into. Nowadays, we're panicky for our cell phones are going to die and we have to get it charged. Consider yourself a personal cell phone for your self-care and make sure you're always fully charged. Self-care can include going to the barber, going to the hairdresser, maybe getting your nails done. But a lot of people do those things because it has to be done. Don't make those things your only self-care things that you do. It needs just a little bit more than that. I would say to anybody who finds themselves being mentally unhealthy or perhaps experiencing what may look like a mental illness or someone they know, to get help. Nothing is wrong with trying on your own. So there's nothing that prevents you from recognizing what coping mechanisms you can use. Coping mechanisms are not one size fits all. So maybe what works for somebody won't work for you, and nothing prevents you from trying. So think about the things that you'd like to get done. Get a massage, go to the beach, have a nature walk, talk to somebody, journal, pray, have devotions. If those things aren't working, then I would encourage somebody to get professional help. They are trained, it's their job. They will figure out how to help you figure out what's the best way to move forward. There are mental health clinics in all our parishes. We have a suicide line and a mental health line at the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And they also have an email address. We have Family Life Ministries that offers counseling. We have Rise Life, and they offer specific help for suicide and substance abuse. We have the women's centers who have opened places for women who are being abused. And we have UNICEF has a WhatsApp number that helps adolescents up to young adults. And the last thing that we've had, somebody in Jamaica has created an app called Let's Talk About It.
Lowering the sodium content in children's diets today can help prevent heart disease later in their life, especially for those who are overweight. Shake the salt habit, shop smart and cook smart. Use less or no salt when cooking. Try using fresh herbs and seasonings to add more flavor. Limit the consumption of salty snacks. Take the time to carefully read the nutrition labels on food products to identify those high in salt and choose the healthier options. Remember, no more than 2 grams of salt per day from all food sources for children under 11 years of age.
For 2025, NCMC is expected to develop a theme. What is that theme? After a situational assessment of Jamaican landscape, we have selected the theme, Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation, for the Child Month of 2025. This theme addressing a pressing and heartbreaking reality that violence and abuse against children remain a critical public health and human rights issue in Jamaica. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency reported that 43,312 cases of child abuse between January 2019 and December 2020, averaging 60 reports per day. On a global scale, the CDC estimates that 1 billion children experience violence each year. Based on the recent statistics from the crimes committed against children for the years 2020 to 2024, 168 children between the ages of 0 to 17 were murdered. 1,439 were victims of rape. 2,576 sexual offenses, 351 shootings.
Make sure the people them safe everywhere. Act now, don't wait till tomorrow. Make people smile them life tomorrow. Stand strong, no sit up and hide. Child abuse in our lifestyle.
If Jamaica is to achieve the goals of Vision 2030, to become the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business, we must do more to protect our children. What are we planning to do about this? The National Child Committee is taking a firm stance. We are calling on every Jamaican to join us. Some say, it's not my place to ask or tell if I notice abuse. We say, we won't go quietly in the night. Rather, we will rage against the dying light. Silence is a heavy chain that binds a child and cripples their prospects. How can we hide behind the mask? Each time we hush or shift our gaze, we leave a child lost.
No more hush, hush, no more shame. Every little voice will call out name. No more hush, hush, no more shame. Every little voice will call out name.
The NCMC is pleading with you to act with us. We have a schedule of activities. The first one is our media launch, and we're talking about it. Event 2, our church service on Saturday, May the 3rd, 2025 at the Northern Caribbean University in Mandeville. Event 3, our National Children's Day for Friday, May the 16th. And what color do you wear? Sunshine yellow, sunshine yellow. Event 4, our National Day of Prayer, Wednesday, May 28th. This is to foster a sense of unity and solidarity. Event 5, our Care Package Distribution Day, May 30th, to provide at least 500 primary-age children with food supplies. We partner with private and public entities to source food supplies for the children in need. We have a calendar, our May calendar, to provide tips to adults to help them to get in the know. What can I do from where I stand, and how can I help? We encourage you that if you are not able to participate in our activities, create your own. Be that guy, a child's keeper. Act from where you stand. Let us, as our mandate implores us to do, use the month of May nationally, recognize as Child Month to educate the public about the needs of children and to inspire action at every level to support them.
Jamaica rise! Protect we youth! Speak the truth! Defend the road! Act now against child abuse! Act now against exploitation! Don't destroy the future of our nation! Don't destroy the future of our nation! Act now!
We've come to the end of today's show. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website at gis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.